Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode on SAP UI5 and Fiori training. In the last episode, we discussed about CSS chapter. We saw how does the CSS brings life and colors and styles to the HTML5. In today's session, we will go ahead and discuss more details about CSS. We'll see more ways and more different techniques and different types of styling ways to apply CSS. The last class we also discussed one of the very important topic on CSS called box model. We discussed how can we have spacing between multiple elements together, and how can we also have a spacing in the middle between the border of an HTML element and the actual content of HTML. Now let's go ahead and look at the solution of the exercise first of all, like we did in the last class. So let's go ahead and see how can we bring now those three images as part of our page, and we can align all three of them in a single straight line. How that can be achieved? There was also a question in last class. Anubhav, can you also show an example applying the style based on ID? We saw based on tag name, we saw based on class name. What about based on ID? We will see that also, don't worry. Let's go ahead and see our result. By far what we have achieved. So we have created a very simple HTML page, and we've got all three alignments of all three boxes. We created actually three boxes and we aligned all of them together in a straight line. We have used the float property as we discussed, aligned all the elements in a straight line with the proper div element surrounded with along with the class name property. And now let's go ahead and see how can we bring three images back to back in parallel. So I'm going to go back and create three boxes once again. And after really clearing the float, we will also have one more float clear here because we're going to do also floating images. I'm just going to add image here within a src property, and let's put also here this image. So we're going to put three images, and now I'm going to go inside and put the path of each of the image. So I'm going to say images slash first is fighter.jpg, second image is images slash machine learning dot, I think it's png or jpg, let me check. It's again jpg file, so just jpg, and then again images slash sap fiori dot png. These are all three images we had, and now let's look at the result. So I'm going to do a side by side comparison. Let's come back and refresh, and you see some images are really big and some are really small. So they doesn't really come in a straight line as my boxes are coming. So we got to reduce the width and height. So I'm going to apply now a tag name styling on the image on here on the top. And I'm going to say, hey, all the images which you see on the screen, please apply a style here. And on all these images, I would like to now go ahead and say, hey, can you please change the width of each of the images to, let's say, 150 pixels, and also the height of each of image to 150 pixels. Save this up, let's refresh, and now you see all three are coming in a very straight line already, because the float, I guess, is right now not applied, or maybe I'm not sure if it's applied, but we can also apply the float property on a safer side, because when I reduce the width, it should also move the image. It's already doing it, so pretty well, that's good. So it's already doing the things which we need. So that's how we got it. But now guys, another interesting thing, sometimes on internet, when you go like Instagram or some website, Tumblr, when you see them, you would see sometimes when I take my mouse on a particular image, that is the time the image displays properly. Usually the image comes grayed out, little transparent, and then when we focus on the image, and that point of time the image shows up pretty nicely. So how do they achieve that kind of stuff? That's pretty easy to achieve. There is a property called opacity. So I just make opacity as 0.4, which means image is only 40% transparent, 40% visible. So let's refresh, and now you see your images are little grayed out, and now they are only 40% visible. Yeah, 40% opacity. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another concept called pseudo class in CSS. What is pseudo class in CSS? Pseudo class in CSS. Don't confuse here with the object oriented class. Whenever I'm using class word here in HTML or in CSS, do not over assume, do not over interlace this concept with the class concept we have in object oriented world. Please don't do that. You will get completely confused. It is not at all, 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 not at all the oops class. It's not at all the oops class. It's not at all the oops class concept. It is its own concept. Just the name is class. Okay, classification in case of HTML. Here it's pseudo class. Pseudo class in CSS is gives a special condition on, and when these conditions are met is then the style gets applied. So whenever the condition is met, it is at the time when the style gets applied to the HTML element or elements. So what could be that condition? So conditions like when we focus on an element, when we take our mouse on an element, like it's called hover. Yeah. So pseudo class name is hover in this case. So when you just do this, when you hover, when you focus on an element, so when you focus, when you hover, when you just check how to alternate table records, etc. These are all the different ways by which we can actually apply pseudo class on CSS. Let us go ahead and see how that can be achieved. So a lot of pseudo classes, the syntax to use pseudo class is your selector colon your pseudo class name curly braces, and then you got to put the value, property name, property value, and so on, like this usually. So here this extra pseudo class name comes with a semicolon as an indicator that this is going to be a pseudo class. Okay, so pseudo class base style. Let's go ahead and see how that can be achieved. Now I come back and now I will say here, whenever I focus on any of the image, is then the text or the opacity of the image should change. So let's come back and see. I will just put an img. I'll say, hey, whenever I hover is a pseudo class curly braces, and now I'll say whenever I hover on the image, please change opacity to 1, which means 100% visible. Here everyone, how to use the pseudo class, the selector as usual, whatever you've been using, and hover opacity is 1, which means 100%. Now let's come back, refresh, watch out. Now whenever I go and select an item, now watch out, see, whenever I go and select an image, just highlight an image or just hover my mouse on an image, it's changing the image opacity. See guys, how beautiful it looks. This is how they achieve on internet. When you see next time on Facebook or somewhere else, you hover on the image, it highlights that image nicely. You can also add some more nice effect. So let's say I will say I want to also add a border property with a 2 pixel solid red border, and now you see how beautiful it will look. It's refreshed and now you see a 2 pixel red color border is also getting added. No performance issue guys, it's all runs on the browser directly understand HTML, CSS and JavaScript. All three things is what browser directly understand. There is no call here going to any SAP server or anything. Like in SAP, whenever you press enter key, a call goes to backend, right? Every time you press enter, it makes a call to application layer. So if you don't have internet connectivity or network connectivity, it lost, right? So here it doesn't, it is not the case. It's a complete execution on the client side. This whole code, what you see, it get loaded in the browser and it runs natively into the browser. So there is no performance lag or issue because of this. Okay. That's complete. Your browser is so powerful these days, it can take care of this. Guys, just give me a second. Somebody's on the door. I'll just be back in a second. Just be there. So that's called pseudo class, guys. I hope it's clear how pseudo class works and how amazingly it can add on the effect. You can also increase the width and height. Yes, you can. I can say, hey, when it is done like this, please increase the width to 200 pixels and also height to 200 pixels. Save this up, refresh, and now let's come back. And you see, when I highlight, when I hover, it's increasing the width of the image to the bigger picture. Yeah, are you clear? So I'm not getting any other noise, guys, in my microphone. I'm not sure why you are getting a special noise. Are you all facing another sound altogether? Some kind of another sound? I would request everyone to mute your line. Okay, most of the people are not facing it, so I think it's an image or a kind of echo from your own side. So most of saying no, they are not facing any other noise. So those who are complaining, please check your microphone. Okay, so that's about the height and width property, which you can also change on hover. You can see now it's changing the width and height on the hover of the element. Let's look at another style. So let's say I want to now apply a style on this input field, and whenever I select or focus any input field, its background color should change. So right now it's not changing. So let's do that. I will say, hey, every input field which you have, whenever somebody focus on the input field, please change the background hyphen color property and make it please brown, and change the color property, the text color to white. And also please change for me what to change. What else can we change? We can also change, let's say, font size to 20. We can also likewise change multiple things if you wish to, right? So font density, you can change it to bold characters, all that you can change. So let's come back. Now see, right now it's looking pretty natural. Input field, when I focus on the input field, watch out. You see the text has been changed to, sorry, the color has been changed to brown color in the background. And now you can see I can write any name. Yeah, so I can just say Anubhav, and you see its font size is also bigger. Font size is 20. This is what it has put. And now the background color also changed. The moment you focus out, it goes back to its natural style, and when you focus on another one, this turns brown. So this is a very another interesting feature of CSS, which tells you which input field is right now on focus. Very helpful feature you might have seen on some websites where they do like this. Yeah? Now, pseudo class names are already predefined. Absolutely, you can't change them. You can find the list of all the pseudo classes available on w3cschools.com. They are always fixed. You can't use your own names. They are fixed. Okay. Selector is of course your choice, but name of the pseudo class is fixed by W3C. Now coming next, what about a fully styled toolbar now? So those who have seen my website, my website is also built using CSS and HTML5. I had built it via HTML and CSS with a bootstrap framework actually. So now, can you please guess which is this control on the top? What do you think? Which HTML control is this? Anyone? Which HTML control do you think is this? Which HTML control do you think is this? Which one? Any guesses? It's a table? No. It's iframe? No. No, not at all. Span? No, it's not a span. Not at all. Any other guesses? Nav, underlist, div? No, no, it's not div. It's not a box. It's not a header. No, it's an unordered list. Now you will be surprised to hear that. Anubhav, how is it possible? It's unordered list. Yes, guys, I'm not joking. It's an UL tag. Now you must wonder, Anubhav, UL tag ऐसे कैसे हो गया? Right, it's possible. I'll show you now. That's the magic of CSS, guys. That's the magic of CSS. So let's see how can we bring a fully styled toolbar with the UL tag. So come back here and just make sure that we clear the float at every point. And now just put a UL tag unordered list, guys. And inside that I'll put list items and I'll say web intro or I say UI5 and I'll say my next item is Fiori. Next item is Launchpad. And my next item is HANA. I just put 4 items now, part of this UL tag. Let's refresh. And as usual, you're going to see these 4 items over here. Now, imagine, just try to reimagine the toolbar which I just showed you in a minute back in my website, how it was looking. It was looking in a straight line with 4 items in that. So all these items should become items of my toolbar actually. Are you getting, guys? Are you able to imagine? This is what we will be doing now, converting this whole unordered list to a fully styled toolbar. How that can be achieved? Yes, it is achievable. Now, first question, you guys will achieve it. You guys will achieve it. Can you tell me which property to use to bring all of them in a straight line as long as there is a space on the left hand side of the page? How to bring all of them in a straight line? Absolutely right answer. We're going to use a float property. So let's do that. So I will say, hey, please apply a float property on all my list items. I will say, please apply a float and bring them on the left if there is a space left over. Save this up and refresh. And now you see all of them coming in a straight line, but they are interlacing. They're interlacing with each other. What to do to not interlace? Perfect answer. We're going to add a margin. You can also add kind of something called padding property, because padding will make the content separate from its border. So if you add more padding, actually it will also try to kind of separate each one of them by their borders. Yeah. So let's add a padding of 10 pixel or 8 pixel. Refresh. And now you see these elements are coming in a straight line with some padding added. Let's add a border to give them a look like 1 pixel solid black to bring that toolbar look. And there you go. Voila. Can you see? Slowly we are turning into a toolbar. And now guys, there is this bubble which I don't want. So that's called list style property. And I make it none. Refresh. You see the list style. Can you see, guys, slowly how that unordered list with the help of style code is converting into a toolbar? It's already taking shape. Yeah. Now I'm going to say every list item has a background of orange with a foreground color. So I would say background color, and foreground color will be white. And I will say, let's save this. Boom, there you go. But its background color is not proper. I did a spelling mistake. Yes. And now I see fully styled toolbar, guys, like I have on my website. And let's add some more flavor to this dish. And I'll just say, whenever somebody hover, what you got to do? Whenever somebody hover, please change the background color to maybe black. And let's refresh. Watch out now. And you see, guys, whenever I hover on each of the toolbar elements, it is turning the color to black. See, guys, how that unordered list can turn into a toolbar, fully styled toolbar. That's how it can. This is how I have designed on my website the top toolbar which you saw just now on my website. It's designed with an OL tag, unordered list with this list item. Now, I will also want to show you, emphasize here another interesting thing. Let's imagine there is another UL tag, and this UL tag has a couple of list items. So let's say some fruit names. It has apple, it has banana, it has then let's say pineapple. What will happen is it will also apply, since we have applied style on tag name allied level, it will also affect these banana, this apple also. So you see it has also got this apple, banana, pineapple added to your existing UL. I don't want to apply this style on this UL actually. But since you have done it in the li tag level, it is actually affecting the apple, banana, pineapple also. Yeah, it's bringing a toolbar here also. I don't want to do that. Yeah, how can we avoid doing that? So we want to dedicatedly, yes, we need to either use ID or class name based style. You're right. So what I will show you now, another stuff. I will mark the parent as with some ID. So let's go and make this parent as with an ID. And I say this parent has an ID called courses. Whatever name you would like, you can keep. Now this is a courses element. And I will say, please apply style on li which are part of courses. Again, I'm repeating, please apply style on all the LIs which are part of courses. Now, do you think this UL or the apple, banana, pineapple, are they part of courses? Are they part of courses? No, they are not part of courses. So only these LIs are part of courses. So first of all, it's an ID. What is the selector you will use if you want to apply style based on ID? Yes, hashtag courses. Perfect answer. Let's go on the top, and I'll just put here before the li, I'll put hashtag courses. That's it. Which this indicates that first go to courses element. Inside the courses element, whatever li you find. Okay. Again, I'm repeating. Inside the courses, whatever li you find, apply this style only on them. Now you see the courses is the ID which is given only and only to this gentleman, which means only these LIs which are inside the courses will get affected. ID at element level is unique always. It's a good practice. Never repeat the ID again. So here, if you want to give ID, you can give fruits. So this is a standard practice in HTML. Of course, nobody is stopping me to give that. Okay. Nobody is stopping me to give courses here. And there is no error also. Okay. Nobody stopped that. But you have done a violation. It's like there is a broken road. Nobody is stopping you to go on that road. But should you go on that road? There is a broken road. There is a warning. It's written there. The road is broken. Go drive on your own risk. So there is a long path which you can take. Of course, you will take the long path. Of course, you will have a different ID which you should put here. You should not violate. Okay. Don't violate. System will not restrict you, but please make sure that you don't violate this rule. ID at element level is unique. That's a general rule we have in HTML. Now let's go back and check that. So once again, I'll repeat here. So we have a hashtag courses, which means find an element with this ID. Inside that, whatever li you have, only on that you apply the style. Similarly, hover effect also, we'll see in a minute. Let's refresh. And now you see it did not affect my apple, banana, pineapple, but when I hover, it's turning to black. Why guys? Because you have here a pseudo element also, which you have designed on all LIs. On all LIs. This also you change it. Say only on the elements which are inside the courses element, please apply the style. Are you guys clear with this approach of how to target an element based on its ID and its child elements accordingly? So two concepts here. One is targeting element based on ID. Second concept is targeting element which are child element of a certain element. So that's how we can do it. So we are done with this. So that's how we can design a fully styled toolbar. And now let's go ahead and also talk about table control. You remember we designed a music library and you all were having this doubt, Anubhav, why the table looking so bad. Don't worry guys, we are back into the table game and we will see how to design a fully styled table. So I just put a table over here and I'll just say table header, of course, and let's put table body, and in the table header we put a tr tag. In this we put a table heading tag. Let's put a table with 3 columns. Probably I would just use the course name, the description, and uh, prerequisite. So let's put down, and now we're going to add maybe 4 records here in each of the course. So I'm just going to repeat 4 records. Each record has one cell of the table. Sorry, 3 cells inside because we have 3 columns. And let me add 4 records. Now I'm repeating this tr tag 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's fill it up the data. So course name is, let's say, UI5. This is basically a framework for responsive web application. And now here in this, the third one, I'll put prerequisite. Prerequisite is nothing but HTML, CSS, JS is a prerequisite here. And now let's put the next one. It's called Fiori UX. And I'll say here it's user experience library. Prerequisite for this is UI5. Then I'll put web on HANA. And I'll say here this is improve performance of app, and then prerequisite is HANA, and then maybe I just put here a launchpad, and then I say Fiori configuration and administration, and prerequisite is, let's say, UI5 and Fiori. That's my complete set of table. And let's refresh, and as usual it doesn't really give you a feel of table. You see it looks really bad, and that's what we also saw in our music library example in the last chapter. Yeah, and you all were worried about it doesn't look so nice. What can you do about it? Yes, we can do a lot about it. We can now bring the border, so let's do that. So I'm going to go on the top and start applying the style. So I'll say every table heading and every table data, both heading and data, both. So comma means this is a common style for both, wherever you find this one and this one, not child. It doesn't mean child, guys. It means these or these, both. Whenever you find, please apply a border. So if you don't put a comma, it will look forward for a table data inside the table header, like here. Inside it look for child element, but if you put comma, which means iska bhi yahi lagega, iska bhi yahi lagega, dono ka same style lagega. The same style will be applied on both of the elements wherever it finds. So border property 1 pixel solid black. Save this up, let's refresh, and I just come down, and you can see now, guys, how it looks. But it looks dirty still, because you see each element has got individual border, but they are like duplicating here. We want to merge these corresponding nearby borders. Okay, so every element has its own border. We want to merge these borders together. How can we do that? So there is a property at the table level, so we can use this table element, and this property is called border collapse property. Collapse. So please collapse nearby border in the entire table wherever you see. Refresh, and now see border collapse property does its magic. Beautiful. It gives you a feel of a table. This is how you bring the borders, or the vertical and horizontal separators between the columns of the table. And now you can add a little bit of margin, please, so that it, or padding, little bit of padding looks beautiful. So let's add a 5 pixel or 3 pixel padding in each of the element, and also I just say text align property is, maybe I just want to say text alignment is center. So let's save this and refresh, and I see it looks even better with that. And I want to now change the header, only the header part. I want to change the background of that to brown color. And then I would like to change the foreground color to or maybe let's say green and brown combination. So only for table heading I'm applying now. Only for table heading, wherever table heading is there, please apply this style. Background color lime, and then I'll say color to brown, and let's refresh. And you can see it has changed the table heading, background color to lime, and the foreground color to brown. And now what next? What next do we want? We want also to change its font style or font family. Cursive. I want to do cursive writing. Refresh, and now see how beautiful it looks. The cursive writing for the header of the table. So we can change the font family. So we also have font density, which you can mark it as bold. Yeah, all these things you can really play around with. And now what I want to do is I want to go ahead, and inside this I would like to probably go and add alternate table row color. Look at the PPT, how PPT displays a table. What is the beautiful table which PPT displays? What is the advantage of this table? Readability is the biggest advantage. Every alternate row has a different color. This is called zebra coloring. Yeah, it's called zebra coloring. Alternate row has a different color like zebra. It has a different color. This is called zebra coloring style for a table in PPT. Increases the readability of the row, right? Can we achieve that here? Yes, absolutely, we can. With the help of pseudo class, you can do that. So let's come on the top, and on the style, I will say now please apply a pseudo class on all the R table record where nth child, which is an even child, even number and odd number. Okay, whenever we have nth child which is an even, please apply this style. Whenever we have nth child which is odd, please apply another style. Okay, this is what we want to do. This is called pseudo class. Even child, even number of elements and odd number of elements, different style. I'll say background icon color to, let's say I want to make it as white, and I'll say background icon color to, let's say red. So white and red combination I want. Let's refresh, and boom, there you go. You can see, oops, spelling is incorrect. And let's refresh, and I see every alternate row of my table has a different color, guys. That's called zebra coloring. You can pretty nicely achieve this with the help of pseudo class in the table. The table is currently not responsive. In this case, it's an HTML table. So this is not responsive. If you would like to create, you have to use an alternate way. So it decreases the width based on screen size, but it doesn't move the content at the bottom. We cannot achieve the responsive table here with the HTML, basic HTML. But however, in SAP UI5, I'll show you achieving the responsive table using SAP M library. We don't use HTML directly as part of our UI5. Okay, so again I'm repeating, we are not targeting to become a website developer. We are targeting to become a UI5 developer. For that, these topics are important. They are you should have a knowledge about these topics. They are foundation for you, but not necessary that you will be building on these topics. Okay, having this knowledge is very important, very important. You don't think that you can ignore them conveniently and proceed. You cannot, but make sure that these topics you are aware, and all the examples which I showed you here, you just practice them. They are sufficient enough to proceed actually. So that's about fully styled toolbar. Now watch out, guys. What is external CSS? Everything we are able to achieve with internal CSS. Then what is the use of external CSS? Imagine, guys, if you're working in a company, so do you develop everything which you write in a single program? If you want to write a big software, do you write everything in a single program? Do you write everything in a single program? Of course not. You got to modularize. Similarly, this style code, what you see here, you can modularize this style code. You can cut this complete style code. Let me cut this code from here. Save this. Come on the right and watch out. See how our page looks? And I refresh, you see. It destroyed the style. I cut the style and destroyed everything. It looks so crude. This is what happens, guys. Sometimes when you trying to load a website, your internet connection goes on in the middle out, or you get disconnected, or your connection is slow. CSS does not load of that website. That website CSS did not load, and this website content turns like this. Yeah, it looks so bad like this because the CSS file did not load properly in the browser, or it was missed out, or it was not loaded due to disconnection in the middle. So CSS did not load, and then the website, whole website looks like something of this sort. So what to do now? What to do? How to load the CSS now? As an external file. So let's go ahead and modularize. So all the CSS code we're going to write in a completely different folder and a file. So let's create a new folder. It's not necessary to create a folder, but it's a good practice. Okay, just put a CSS. And inside the CSS, I'm going to put a new file. And I'll say my own .css. And I'll just paste the complete content inside. I had placed the complete content inside my own .css. You can see I've got it. But do you think it will work? If I run my page, will it work? Will it work? I just put my complete CSS code back into the folder, my own .css. Will it work? No, it won't. Why? There is nothing like magic, guys. System does not know that this particular thing has to link it. Please stop your camera. Somebody has started their camera. I request you to please stop it. So now you see my own .css, and this my own .css has to be referenced into this HTML file. Okay, that's what we got to do. Let's go ahead and see that. And I just come back, and here I'm going to put a link tag. So for referencing a style, you have to use a link tag, and you just have to put the file path, which is src, and you have to say it's in my CSS folder, my own .css, and you have to say type and relation. Relation is a style sheet. It's a style sheet file. That's a relationship slash link tag. Okay. And now, okay, there's no ending tag required for link tag. Just put link tag. And now here put text slash CSS. That's what we have to do. Let's put text slash CSS over here with a style sheet as the relation type, and this is the file path with the src property over here. Okay, let's save this up and refresh, and still it did not work. I think it's href property, I'm sure. Let's try this out. Refresh, and voila, yes, it works. You can see it's a href property with the link tag, and then we have to put type and relation type here, everyone. That's what we have to put, and that brings the complete CSS on the page. So that's how you link, which means if you build a CSS like this and you give it to your friend, and your friend reference this CSS, okay, your friend reference this CSS and code according to the rules of your game. So you had put the style for boxes, you put a lot of classes. So you put all the style for your classes. If your friend follows this rule of the game and follows through the same rules of the game by making sure that it aligns to understand your CSS, it can get the similar result. Okay. So type property indicates what type of file it is. It's a text file and a CSS file. That's what it indicates. It's not a JavaScript file. Yeah. It's not a JavaScript file. What is the relationship type? It's a style sheet. So link is used to link different also other variety of file like JSON. So here you should mention what is the kind of linkage you want to create. It's a style sheet linkage with a type property as text property, and href property is .css property. So that's what we are trying to achieve here. So you should not use by mistake style tag anymore. You should just link the CSS like this, external CSS file. So now this file can come also from internet. You can host it somewhere in a cloud server and give it to the whole world like Facebook does. Facebook give their style sheet file to other developers, Facebook developers. So when you develop a Facebook plugin, you get the same look and feel as the Facebook has. Okay, that's what it does. Now, in both the files, should we use the class and IDs, right? Yes, absolutely. In the CSS file now, of course, the same style code is working. So you don't have to change anything extra here in the CSS file. You got to use same all the selector rule remains same. It's just an external CSS, which means you are linking the CSS from outside. It's not kept within the HTML file. It's linked to from the outside, guys. That's external CSS. Okay. So hope you enjoyed the CSS unit. We are end with the CSS unit with these examples. And in the next session, we'll start with JavaScript from Monday onwards. Thank you so much for being there with me all the time. All your questions, please feel free to ask now. Lines are open. Please go ahead and ask your questions now.
Hi, Anubhav. Because
Hi.
this side.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's possible to overwrite any style. For example, you created style for table. So the column, the text always shows in a center, right? So I created that section in the CSS part. But another thing for a specific column, I want for a specific condition or specific column, I want those text in the left or right. So is a one kind of a overwrite of the existing style, right? In some
Yes.
point of time. So is this possible?
Yes, there are two ways to achieve it. If you want to go with simple, like directly element level, so what you can do, let's say this description, I want always to not have the green color in the background. For this gentleman, I want the background color to be, let's say, yellow. Yeah. So only for this one. So what you can do is you can go and do that at inline level. Inline
Ah,
style takes higher precedence. Okay. This is one example I'm just showing. So let me show you. I also understood your question. I'll come to that in a second. Just give me a second. So now you can go ahead and put here the style. And I say I can have a background color to, let's say, yellow. Save this and I refresh, and now you see only for description specific element it has changed it to the background color yellow. So that's like targeted style which takes higher precedence over the style which is coming from the page level. So any element level style always takes higher precedence. Option number two, where you want to now do it only for the column which has, let's say, course name as UI5. So now I don't know in this table which are all the cells have UI5 as part of course name. So I want to do like that conditional kind of style that you can do via dynamic coding, which we will learn in JavaScript chapter. Heavy dose of antibiotic right now. So there in JavaScript chapter, you can influence the style code at runtime by looking at the data. So that's possible,
okay,
but it will be possible via JavaScript. You can do that.
okay. That's been inline always override the existing one, right? It will first preference. It will take a first preference, right?
Yes,
Inline
inline always
style.
take the first preference. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay, okay. Thanks.
Do we have a loop
Uh,
tag? No, HTML is not a programming language. We don't have a loop tag in HTML. It's a markup language.
Anubhav, my question is like, if you want the personal details to be taken to the top right side, how we can do that, the positioning?
So this one on the here on the right side, you want to move like
Top right side,
here,
page top.
page top. Then you got to simply cut the element and move it on the top. So this gentleman, you have to
Okay.
cut it and put it on the top of the page.
Okay.
You have to put it. It will move to the top side.
Is there any way other than that we can mention the position place using CSS?
Yes, there is a positioning property also, but that positioning property is very tricky. You have to then put a lot of positioning elements, and then you have to also have put style code, and I just have to say position fixed like this. And like this you have to position fix that element. But yeah, with the CSS you can't say move it on the top because HTML decides the positioning of element, but respective positioning, like if the page layout changes, still the personal details element should not change its position. Whether it is causing an overlap or not causing an overlap, it should not change its position. Display like block. This is a display property, display fixed. Like this, it should not change its position, guys. So no matter what happens, this element won't move from here automatically. When new elements are added, this element remains as it is. When responsive nature is applied on the page, this element remains always at a fixed position. Like this, we have different properties, but the one example which you are asking for, that you have to move the HTML element only. It is not possible via CSS.
Okay.
Hi, Anubhav. I understand the table collapse, the border collapse, but I'm just wondering, can we achieve this using margin? Because end of the day, there are two tags, and then I don't know if we can say elements.
We can achieve via margin, but again with margin, what will happen when you have these two margins colliding with each other? This particular border become little bolder. Okay, so wherever you have two coming together, it becomes more bolder. But you see the last one here, this one, this particular edge, this won't look bolder. So table will look bad. You can achieve it. You can have it like margin 0 manually, and then they will collapse with each other. You can achieve it, but it will look bad. It doesn't give that nice feel. That's why W3C introduces special property called collapse, border collapse property.
Okay. And another doubt, this pan and float, we always think to use pan. Yeah, for me, like both look same, unless like float you can remove using clear. Span also, can we do that? Because for me, it
So
looks like the same
span element
functionality.
just try to keep the element in line. That's what span element actually does. It won't really give you the feature of float. Float is bringing responsive nature. Responsive is as long as it finds a space on the left of the page, it will move the content automatically. That's what float does. And you have to clear the float. But span what it does, like this table. This table, no matter what I do, I squeeze the screen width, the table is not moving. See? Table, it's not moving its content down. It's not at all moving. It's just trying to fit this table on the same page somehow. It's not doing any responsive nature of the table. So you see, this table does not really give me a responsive nature, because imagine these elements are spanned elements. They are in a linear line. So no matter what happens when you squeeze the width, it doesn't move down. They just remain as it is. But if you look at the above elements, you see they have properly positioned in mobile. They automatically move down. That's the magic of float. But span doesn't give you this magic of moving the elements, complete elements down. That span does not give me.
Right.
Anubhav,
One
another
last,
question
one
from
last
this
question.
side.
Yes, go ahead, please.
You wrote that alternate table condition, right? In the pseudo class. I could not understand that condition.
Okay, so let's understand first the business need here. The business says, I would like to have alternate row color, right? They want to have an alternate row color. So every row, if you see this is 0th row, even, odd. Then you have even, odd. So you have even odd formula here. So to apply an even odd formula ever on a repeating set of values, repeating set of elements, you can use pseudo class, which is given by CSS W3C directly. This is the formula which the W3C school has already given me. I simply applied that formula. Here you can't change anything. This is hard coded. You have to put it blindly as it is. Even for me, when I learned CSS initially, it was difficult to appetite this particular formula. But this is a formula. You have to just use add as it is to bring on a repeating set of table record. For every even element, I want to do something. So just put nth child even, nth child odd. That's a hard coded formula. You have to consume as it is. As it is. Little difficult to appetite, but yes, this is how they have designed it.
Oh, thank you,
Okay,
Anubhav.
Anubhav, it's Biplab this side.
Mhm.
So, for example, Anubhav, you added one CSS, right, in the single HTML file. So, if I add two CSS, so and for example, for table, I created one CSS. For other elements, I'm creating another CSS. So, I can put two CSS in the single
Yes, you
file,
can
right,
put
in single
multiple
HTML.
link tags here. It's absolutely fine to add multiple link tags, and all those CSS comes into picture. So what happens if you have duplicate code? So first, it is like include program, guys. It executes the
Right.
CSS first, then second CSS, then third CSS. The last one which was executed, that takes the higher precedence.
Okay, that means it will search. For example, if I talk about the ID wise, so table ID is one CSS and another elements in another CSS. I maintain the ID and all, but it will impact the performance because it will search right first
No, it will
all the CSS
impact
file.
because performance wise, we don't have to worry, guys, because it's all getting executed on client side. There is no server connection here. Right now, we didn't even implemented any server where we are making a call. All the things got loaded in the browser. They're executed within the browser in your local machine. There is no doubt about performance. You can go and check here in the sources tab. All these files are loaded. Images are also loaded. You see HTML file is loaded, and the CSS file also loaded here.
Okay, so what's the best practices to create a multiple CSS file, or we can put everything in a single CSS file?
You can put everything in a single CSS file. That's a best practice. Even in UI5, when I'll show you integrating a CSS, external CSS, we'll put it only in one file.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Anurag.
We usually call in real time this as a theme file. This is known to be a theme file actually. We don't say CSS. For end user point of view, जब end user से बात करोगे तो we'll say style. We'll say style or we'll say it's called theme file. We'll give you theme file. That theme will apply and it will give you a nice look and feel for your app.
Okay, okay.
Is there any way we can apply particular style on two data rows in table alternate? So like two rows you want. So first two rows in blue color, then next two in white, next two in blue. So you can do that with JavaScript. You have to use JavaScript for that. That's going to be an interesting topic. We will start from Monday. So there all the conditional kind of things or the looping kind of thing or the programming features, they all comes with the JavaScript. Yes, there is no class tomorrow and day after. It's a weekend in India. Most of you for it's Friday evening and Saturday evening. So we don't have a class Friday evening, Saturday evening, your time, which we are in US. And those who are in India, of course, Saturday, Sunday, no session. Monday we'll have our next session, which is Sunday evening US time. It's there in the calendar invite. I don't have to tell every time. It's already there in the blog and calendar invite. Next question, please.
Anubhav, this particular website, say for example, it's a company website. So right now we are making changes that gets reflected on the internet, on the on the HTML pages on the local host. So in what way can we secure that website where no other users can make changes to our own CSS files or anything?
They cannot. They anyway cannot. They can only make local changes. So for example, if I just want to change here, so which is this box title of blue color? So maybe just make it to red color. Maybe the
So for example, like any of these websites like Facebook and all, we cannot make a change to their current.
No, you cannot make the change. So you can just make the change in your local. See, it's running in the local browser. So you see, it become red here. If I change here to let's say brown,
Right.
it becomes brown. It's only local change. It doesn't change the file which I have here. Here it did not change. Still, it's lines here. Next time when I refresh, it goes away. It's a local change. Goes away. Make it red, no matter what, how many times you make it red, refresh next time, goes away. It doesn't change the actual CSS in CSS file in the project. The root from where it's loaded, the originating place, the website from where it is loaded from the cloud. Doesn't change that. It's a local change. And guys, I'll also show you another interesting thing. You can actually manipulate the elements. So let's say I'll show you some interesting thing. So I go to the CNN or CNN Live News, and maybe I just go to Live News CNN. So watch live. Oh, sorry, it's a TV channel actually. So I want to see here this one, CNN.com. And now suppose you see President Trump visits border. Yeah. So that's a news. Select this element, right click, go inspect, go to the DOM And double click here. Anubhav launches course on web app on HANA. Enter. Boom, there you go. You can see my news on CNN. I am on CNN. CRLlive.com. Take a screenshot and mesmerize your friend and make them fool. Those who are non-technical, those who have no clue about UI5 theory, send them a screenshot that see, I'm on CNN channel. Take this screenshot. I remember the time demonetization happened in India. A lot of people were, they were playing pretty smart. Going onto the news channel websites, looking into the DOM, changing the DOM at runtime, taking screenshot and circulating fake news on the WhatsApp. This is what people were doing actually. So you can actually go and do a lot of changes. So whatever you see here, you can actually change pretty nicely. So that's the magic of DOM. And next time when you refresh, it goes away, of course, because it doesn't change CNN, of course. It doesn't change CNN. It just change in your local, because it all runs on your local browser. You see, next time when you reload, it reloads from server its original state again. So you can really
technically, so technically, there is no way that we can secure the original web page. We can only secure the CSS files.
No one can. No one can do it. CNN Live itself cannot do it. Get me any web page, I will change its DOM and I can take a screenshot and send it to my friends. There's no way you can do that. Security means, security does not mean that you are changing the original content. You are not allowed to change original content. Now you see my website here. This is a content on my website. I can right click, inspect, and find out this element, and I can change the course name. And I can just come here and say Honey Money Pot. And do you think I am offering a course called Honey Money Pot?
No.
Not at all. Tomorrow some student can come and then play around here and they can right click and they can say, Anubhav, I can see your website. One of my students actually, he was joking with me, Anubhav, I can see your website. It's showing the course price also. And the price is just $10,000 US, Anubhav. Are you really that expensive, your course? You see, $10,000 US. So these are some of my students, they joke with me. They say, Anubhav, see, your website is showing a price $10,000 US for your course. Is it true, Anubhav? So you can actually, nothing is secure that way if you just take that way. But if you refresh, it reloads the right state from the server. That all content is in local and now it's your content. Even Facebook, Twitter, any website you go, you can do it. In tomorrow's class, in the next class, basically, the JavaScript class, I'll also show you how to hack somebody's password. वो भी कर सकते हैं. I will show you how to hack somebody's Gmail password with JavaScript. That's possible. That's very much possible. I will show you that. You can crack it. You can hack your wife's password, your friend's password, your colleague's password. You can do that. In fact, bank password also you can hack with JavaScript. Nothing is secure. Tell me the bank website. I will hack your password. Just tell me your user ID. I will hack it. You can become a hacker. That's what hacker does. But big power comes with big responsibilities. We are responsible citizens of a country. Never misuse your power. See the Spider-Man movie? What does Uncle says to Peter Parker? Big power comes with big responsibilities. So don't misuse your powers. Use it in constructive way, not destructive way. That's a lesson for today. 45 minutes of exercise every day. Safeguard you for the life. Thank you so much for the class. See you in the next session. Goodbye. Have a nice day.